and welcome to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Steve Van Eiderstein. Thank you all for joining me again today for March 25th's reading of James Allen's Daily Meditations. I'm loving March so far. Yesterday's was one of my favorite meditations to date. I have to say, I really enjoyed yesterday's because there's no wordplay in the sense of like, oh, maybe it means this, or the interpretation is not very open, which sometimes the directness is very, very important to me. So let's see what gets followed up, what that gets followed up with here for March 25th. This will be fresh to you and fresh to me, which means this is my first time reading this meditation right on the podcast with y'all. So I'm looking forward to it. You'll get my genuine response, reaction, observations, and what I relate to about the reading. So here we go. James Allen's daily reading for March 25th. You can only help others insofar as you have uplifted and purified yourself. A truth is first perceived and afterwards realized. The perception may be instantaneous. The realization is almost invariably a process of gradual unfoldment. You will have to learn to love. Regard yourself as a child. As you make progress in learning, the divine will unfold within you. You can only learn to love by constantly meditating upon love as a divine principle, and by adjusting day by day all your thought and words and acts to it. Watch yourself closely, and when you think or say or do anything which is not born of pure unselfish love, resolve that you will henceforth guard yourself in that direction. By so doing, you will every day grow purer, tenderer, holier, and soon you will find it easy to love and will realize the divine within you. When love is perfected and revealed in the heart, Christ is known. Now that was a heck of a reading to follow up with. I love it because yesterday was truths, really. Yesterday was a bunch of characteristics or principles, disciplines that really show what living a spiritual lifestyle is like, you know? So, and those are truths, spiritual truths, let's say. So to have it follow up on this, to say a truth is first perceived and afterwards realized, you know, it's talking about part of this process, which is a part that isn't talked about often, I don't believe, but has been part of my own personal journey, and I very much so believe it. And I very much trust in the process being referred to here. So here we go. Let's go into it. What he opened up with has been an experience of mine that is proven true over and over again. You can only help others insofar as you have uplifted and purified yourself. And that's true for me, because if I am working or if I'm talking with somebody, trying to help somebody with a section of their life that I haven't actually worked through on my own already, then I'm usually just either giving bad advice, which I have no reason to give, or I'm co-signing what they're saying. when I shouldn't be. I can't help someone with a principle or a virtue or a discipline or anything that I have no direct knowledge of, in the sense I've never practiced true and authentic love, like it talked about later in this reading, or never practiced forgiveness. I've never practiced hope or faith. I've never practiced honesty in that way. Right? So we have a whole lot of things to consider when someone comes to us and we want to talk about things in a certain perspective. We have to make sure we can actually help lift this person up through these things. That's why doing the work is so crucially important, to make ourselves of maximum service to others. Because if we don't do this work, if we don't actually put the effort in, we're limited on how much we can help other people too. So it's an amazing thing, and it's something that's hard understood but true. He goes on to say the main body of this: a truth is first perceived and afterwards realized. Yes, I'm gonna read the next one because it goes so well together. Next sentence: the perception may be instantaneous. The realization is almost invariably a process of gradual unfoldment. And that is true. That has been my personal, intimate experience, that I will first understand the truth in the sense of, like, to perceive it, to observe it, to intellectually know it. Maybe is a good way to say it. I would like to intellectually understand it, like logically, or one way or something to that nature. You know, he uses perceived here, like to almost like to find it, like, oh, this is a spiritual truth here. This is a truth. And afterwards realized. Like, we'll talk about it when we talk about love as we in this meditation. But the perception may be instantaneous. I might recognize, oh, this is the law, this is the rule, this is the spiritual truth that we're talking about here, right? The realization is almost invariably a process of gradual unfoldment. That's been my experience. It's learning the application of it, learning what it actually looks like, learning how I practice that principle, practice that truth, practice that virtue, right? And that can take a long time. Some shorter than others, but it can take a while. Gradual unfoldment. There's a saying around 12-step recovery that says, you don't take the steps take you. But you learn what the steps actually mean. For those that understand that jargon or that lingo. And that's along the same lines as this idea. He goes on to say, you will have to learn in italics, to love regarding yourself as a child. As you make progress in learning, the divine will unfold within you. That's a big ask sometimes for people, including myself. That was hard. When I got sober and I really started learning, understanding what getting sober was about, I learned that I was going to have to learn how to live differently, and not in just one way, not just with putting down the drinks and the drugs, right? This is about a change in how I live and perceive the world. So I had to revert back, like it said here, regarding yourself as a child. You will have to learn to love regarding yourself as a child. You have to go to a point where you were teachable, willing to change, open-minded, honest about how you feel about things. You have to unlearn and relearn. As you make progress in learning, the divine will unfold within you. As you begin to learn these spiritual truths All right. So let's go on to the next sentence. Is you can only learn to love by constantly meditating upon love as a divine principle and by adjusting day by day all your thought, words, and acts to it. So he's going on about this, the divine unfolding within us, the gradual unfoldment, right? And it takes practice. It takes the open-mindedness and willingness to learn how to do these things differently. That's one of the biggest things here, right? We have to be willing to relearn as to what these things mean and their application. So when for the example he's using here is love. And you can only learn to love by constantly meditating upon love as divine principle and by adjusting day by day all your thought and words and acts to it. So when we realize these principles, the unfoldment will happen in the practice and the understanding and the contemplation and meditation upon these things, right? Because when he says meditation, a lot of that really is alluding to contemplative meditation. There's a lot besides like the clearing your mind meditation and all of those things, which are all well and good, and I'm not taking away from them by any means. But this is more of a contemplative. What does love look like? What does love look like in this scenario? What does love look like with my family? What does love look like with my friendships and my job and my romantic relationships? With my pets even. However you want to, whatever dimension you'd like to apply this. So it's the action that follows the perception that gets us into the realization of this and the unfoldment of it within ourselves. And then you constantly realign yourself with these principles and continue to make the effort to practice these principles as they come up. Watch yourself closely, and when you think or say or do anything which is not born of pure unselfish love, resolve that you will henceforth guard yourself in that direction. I love that too, because it's almost a relief, because it's not saying we have to demand perfection of ourselves immediately, but this is a journey to that perfect execution of love. Will we all get there? Who knows? Who knows what that truly 100% looks like, to be honest with you. We can venture to guess, and we can speculate as to what it should look like, but the actual practice of such a principle such as love, and it's entirely and absolutely and perfectly, I believe, is probably one of the hardest things for any human being to grasp, because we are so fallible and we are so selfish by nature. So, and what he's saying, watch yourself closely. And when you think or say or do anything which is not born of pure unselfish love, because that's the one we're working on in this example, resolve that you will henceforth guard yourself in that direction. So when you make a mistake, be willing to see it and also be willing to correct it going forward, to change the behavior and grow in your practice of these principles. Grow in your practice of these truths. By doing so, you will every day grow purer, tenderer, holier, and soon you will find it easy to love, and you will realize the divine within you. What an amazing thing. He's saying the progress will be noticeable. The progress will be seen. That's important for a guy like me to know. That it will show, and it will become easier. You will find it easy to love. It'll become our second nature, really, at the end of the day. It becomes our just default operating conditions when we practice these things with such diligence and such commitment and intention. It's extremely important. And you will realize the divine within you. You will know the God inside of you, the little piece of God that we all have, or good, or the unselfish desire to be of service to something larger than ourselves, whatever that might be, however you might phrase that, however you might characterize that. He ends it with, when love is perfected and revealed in the heart, Christ is known. Absolute love of Christ. When we can understand that, we can understand what the Christ concept represented in Christianity. Now, I know this is a indicator towards the Christian religion, but this can be something that's given an example of in all religions, or in whatever way you'd like to interpret that. When you start to be able to perfect love and reveal it in your heart, you can understand what that divine love is from your creator, your source, nature, whatever it might be. What a beautiful thing that is. And what that actually means. So it's a pretty powerful statement, to be honest, or at least from the, maybe even a promise, from what I can tell. So, but another great reading today. Thank y'all so much for jumping on with me for the 25th of March. Looking to see how this month wraps up. We've only got a couple days left, so we'll see where it takes us. But thank y'all for jumping on, and look forward to tomorrow. Until next time, thanks.